What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of A Playmaker's View. I'm your host, Jayme. Thank you all for joining me today. I have an old friend of mine once again, Robert Screen, who plays soccer at the University of Kentucky, UK. Him and I used to play youth league soccer at the YMCA, if you guys know what that is. So we go way back, and I haven't talked to him in a while, so I reached out to him just to see if he's interested, and he was. So today that's going to be my guest. We're going to kind of dive into his whole career at UK and how he kind of got into soccer, all that good stuff. So hope you guys enjoy this episode, and here we go. All right, so to start things off, like I said, I have Robert Screen on, an old friend of mine. Robert, can you please just introduce yourself to the viewers? You play soccer at Kentucky, so give us a little brief overview about yourself, what you've been up to, and how it's been like to be playing there.
My name is Robert Screen. I'm a right back at the University of Kentucky. Everything's been good. From Raleigh, North Carolina currently. I grew up for like my first 13 years in St. Louis with Jayme, which was good. Then I moved to Raleigh. Kentucky's been good, academically and athletically. Being around all like the star basketball players, that I guess all that hype is cool, which also brings like hype to the rest of the programs as well. So like we get like, I mean, we can get up to like 6,000-7,000 fans at some of our games as well, which is cool. But I mean, occasionally, like I remember you asked like what it's like for a D1 athlete at a school like that, and honestly, it's just school and sports. Like a lot of the time, you don't really have much time for anything else.
Yeah, so you're
Um,
sorry, but I was gonna ask you. You're pretty occupied, like you don't really have anything else to do. What does your daily schedule look like from? I guess I don't know if you wake up at 6 a.m., but like a day in the life of Robert Screen, what does that look like for you?
yeah, so it depends on fall versus spring season, but so the fall season is the season where we're actually playing our games and stuff like that. And normally we have, just because of the time schedule, we only have like a certain window to have our classes because we have practice or games almost every day. And so normally wake up at about 6:30 ish to go to eat and then go to class at 8. Um, and then you have class until about 2, and then you go straight from class to practice. You're at this soccer facilities for probably until like 6:37 most days. You go straight to eat dinner, and then you got to go to we have a thing called CATS, which I'm sure a lot of other programs have, and it's like our academic center for athletes. And sometimes some students have like required quiet study, which is like you're not allowed to do anything in there, like be on your phone or anything other than schoolwork. But it's also like a good place to just go get all your homework and stuff done. But
Yeah.
and
So
then
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say then you get back home at like 9-10 after eating and then finishing your homework, and then you got like an hour to chill, and then you go to sleep and do it all again the next day.
Yeah, it really is a grind. It seems like, and I'm hoping that you're having fun. Can you talk a little bit about your experience there? I know you've been playing quite a bit, so what has that been like for you to actually be at that school? And have you learned anything from your teammates? And just kind of give the viewers a brief overview of like your life there and how it's been your whole career there.
Yeah, it's been good. So my freshman year, I didn't really play a lot, but we had a really good team. We were like the number 3 team, I think, in the end of the country, number 3 overall. Um, and yeah, I didn't play much that year, which I was a little disappointed about, but I guess it's not super surprising being an incoming freshman. Um, but then this past year, I mean, I definitely learned a lot that freshman year, though. Just the playing style and the speed of the play, and you're playing against bigger, faster kids than you were when you were in high school. Um, and then there's just like the mottos that are ingrained in you from like the coaches and stuff like that. We have a thing, they just say G-bed, which is just get better every day. Like even if you don't have a great practice, as long as you're getting better, like it is what it is.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. So where I want to go back to like your earlier days. I remember we used to play like YMCA league, but where did your passion for soccer really start?
Well, it kind of did start there, but all my family is English, so that probably stemmed with their passion for soccer as well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so my dad would always, me and my dad would always play, and my little brother. And yeah, I remember playing in YMCA, and that definitely started it. Which was, I mean, yeah, it's just been ingrained in me from a young age from my family.
Gotcha. So going forward, you obviously have a drive and you're grinding every day. What is your ultimate goal? Do you want to be, in the MLS someday or some sort of overseas team?
Well, I did actually have a trial in I think 2016 with a team in England. It's in the championship, so the second division in England, called Sheffield Wednesday, and unfortunately, it did not work out. Basically what they said was that I was as good as what they had, but not better enough to the point where it'd be worth bringing me over from America,
Right.
and going through all that trouble. But it was a good learning experience. I would definitely prefer to play in Europe because that's just the better leagues, more often the better players. Um, but I mean, the MLS is getting better. Um, I was really surprised the other day. I was looking up like the average salary for MLS, and I know for other leagues it's ridiculous. It's in the millions, but in the MLS, it used to be like $70,000 a year for player, which is obviously not great for professional athletes. But now the average is up at like 400, 500,000 a year, which is, and that's only been like a 4 or 5 year difference. So I'm hoping that MLS has come a long way. So I would definitely not mind playing in the MLS.
Sure. So are there any looking back at your whole career, has there been any like coaches or teammates that have kind of helped guide the way for you or been a role model?
Yeah, I'd say more coaches than anything else because I just feel like coaches are the ones that kind of direct how you play a little bit more than the players. Obviously, a lot of a lot of my teammates are brothers at this point, but I think the coaches probably had more of an impact. Like I have, there's one Greg Shields who was one of my first coaches when I came over to Raleigh from St. Louis. Um, and when I first came to Raleigh, I'd missed the tryouts. And so they automatically put me on the fourth team here, like the fourth ranked team, which was a bummer. So I had to work my way up those teams as well. And Greg Shields, I had him for like 3 or 4 years once I got to that top team. And he was a cranky Scottish guy who yelled at you for everything you did. And it was hard to understand him at times, but he was a good coach. He's actually coaching now in the Scottish top league as a head coach, which is, I guess, a helping hand if I ever need to go over to Europe and try and go over there. So
Yeah, it's definitely a good connection to have. So going back to what you say the quote was, "Get better every day." Is that what it was?
yeah. Mhm.
So what has that motto been like for you? What has that done for you every day? I guess you wake up and you're trying to get better. But what is not just your goal for later on in life, but for Kentucky? What is something that you want to accomplish?
Um, I mean, one thing that we're always talking about is reaching a Final Four because no, our program has never done that,
Hmm.
and we've we made the Elite Eight in my freshman year. I made the Sweet 16 in my last year, um, and so the goal is to win both the conference league and the conference tournament, and then to make it to the Final Four. And basically, I recognize that where we currently are, we could probably do it, but to guarantee it, we need to get better every day, all of us.
Yeah. So, moving forward, what is something throughout your whole experience, through your career and everything? Is there one thing that's really clicked with you that you can um, move on to other, like your underclassmen and I guess just really athletes as a whole? Is there something that you've learned that has really helped you develop your game, whether it be the mental side of it, physical side? Is there something that you would, I guess, a piece of advice for anybody trying to be at the level that you're at?
I think the biggest thing is just practicing, and I'm sure you've heard that a lot. But I do think it's the most important thing. Like practicing when no one else is practicing, that's what's going to give you the edge
Hmm.
over everyone else. And at this point, I even look back and after my thousands of hours of practicing, I wish that I'd practiced more because I feel like I could have been an even better player. But yeah, I mean, anytime like a kid, like a fan of the UK soccer contacts me or anything like that, asking like how they can get to where I am or anything like that, that's pretty much what I tell them is just practice harder and longer than anyone else.
Right, yeah. So you said, do people reach out to you very often, like the fans of UK and all that stuff? Like, do you have fan interactions quite often?
Um, Not all the time. I'd probably say about once or twice a month. I'll have a kid who has the courage to actually say something.
Yeah.
And then on campus, it'll happen occasionally. Um, it can be kind of creepy occasionally because you just walk around campus and you have like a random person like tap you on the shoulder who knows your name and all that stuff. But it is nice at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to be able to have that platform. I wanted to ask you before we kind of conclude some things. Is there something, obviously, you hope soccer works out, but what is something that you would want to do if you have coaching in mind or anything around sports, or are you studying something completely different?
Um, co- I wouldn't mind doing coaching, but currently I'm probably going to get my PhD. I have so I'm majoring right now in um, agricultural and medical biotechnology. And I have a minor in business as well. So if soccer doesn't work out, that's probably currently my go-to. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing coaching as well.
Gotcha. All right, one last question for you. What has been the best experience out of your whole career? This can be from Kentucky or just as a kid. What is something that maybe even you would want to go back and repeat because it was a great moment?
Um, I don't know. Currently, just off the top of my head, it might be recently I scored a free kick against Ohio State,
Hmm.
which was pretty cool because we had a lot of fans in the crowd, and it was a it it could have turned the season poorly if I hadn't scored it because we were struggling a bit at that point. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably the one for me right now.
Gotcha. And at the end of the day, has that helped you in some sort of way for your career, or was it just something that you really enjoyed?
Um, Kind of both because I mean, it's been I've seen it all over Instagram a bunch of
Hmm.
times, um, and I've had people from all over the place talking about it that I didn't tell about it,
Right.
which was so that helps. Just having like my name out there and people saying that I'm doing what I'm doing.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, your knee heals up and you'll be
Appreciate it.
good to go in a few months. But if there's anything else you want to add about your experience or maybe a life lesson that you've had, feel free to reach out. But I do want to thank you again.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Take care, man. All right, guys. So, like I said, that was Robert Screen. He's over at University of Kentucky doing some great things. He said he was a right back. I used to play with him at the YMCA league here in St. Louis, so it's pretty cool to connect back with him and hear how he's doing. But yeah, it's awesome. If you guys are an athlete succeeding out there, please feel free to reach out to me. But that's gonna do it for us here on a Playmaker's View, and we'll be back with you guys next week for another episode.